All right, so recording started. So the issue with some of these standards and these additional white spaces. So if I check out this national standard here, and we do the preview option, we have in the consideration section, we have this big white space area, but when we go to considerations here, there's nothing. There's no reason why this white space should be here. If I try and check out this considerations area, I can't do anything to this white space. So I think the reason for that additional white space is sometimes when it comes over from Word, it gets copied in there. And then I think it has something to do with these components, and it tries to get rid of that additional white space when it can with this like color. So the way that I found to fix them is if instead of trying to change it in the actual standard, is if I get out of here and I go to the actual component itself. So this is that considerations component. And then in here you can clearly see that additional white space. So if I check out this consideration section or component, so now we see that the white spaces. We can actually mouse over it and highlight it. But if I try and just backspace, again, I can't get rid of them. And so I believe that has to do with the track changes. So if I turn off track changes, I can then backspace and delete them all. And then if I go to my PDF preview, then again we have the spaces deleted. So for some reason track changes doesn't like deleting those like empty lines for some reason. So just turning off track changes lets you do that, but some users can't turn off track changes, like the QA team can't turn off track changes, and I think like the NTL can't turn it off. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's like, I think it's like an ADM or NDL feature to really turn off the track changes. So if I save and close this component now, and then we're going to check out the standard and make sure it's fixed there. So we'll save that, and then we'll go.
You made that look too easy.
Yeah. It's a really frustrating bug, and so I've played around with it for a while, because the first time the only way to change it was I had to actually edit the XML, and then so I try to find a way to do it within the web author, and so that's how I kind of found the component was the best way to do it. Now there are some even trickier ones that don't work in the component, and we're down into consideration. So here now the consideration section is fixed. But I think the other standards you had, I forget the number, but let me.
629.
629. So that was it in this one, right, Bill? That was.
Yeah, that was it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's get out of here. So 629. Okay, so 629, if I look in the preview, we have this one space under general criteria that shouldn't be there. We have that space under the manure one, and then the bullets are kind of messed up too. So let me check out. So again, if I check out the standard, I'm not going to be able to make these changes, but I can probably make the bullet one in here. So I'll make the, interesting. Let me refresh that. Okay, let's go to that bullet section here. So under criteria, again, if I do the PDF preview, we don't see any spaces under general criteria, and we kind of see the manure space, but not really. It's not actually editable here. So so here's our two spaces issues, and again, we can't see them in here. So if I go to, let's do the bullet one first. So we have the space here between our bullets, and then we have a space after. So the reason for that is that you see this big space at the end of a kind of bullet list. So we have a style that will increase the space off the last bullet. And the reason for that is because a lot of the section headers, let me zoom in a little bit here. So a lot of the section headers before this release were touching right into the bulleted list. And the only way to get the actual correct styling for the document of having whatever this space is, I think it's like 10 or 12 or something, is that we put in on the last bullet to treat it like a paragraph and then add that additional spacing, because it was trying to do this like narrow, let's call that 6 or 5 spacing, and that's not correct when it goes from a bulleted to a header. So we added a style in place for the last bullet to increase it for down to a header. So whenever you see this in the middle here where you have weird spacing, a lot of times that comes from when you're trying to copy and paste from Word and it has one of these nested bullets, is that it treats this as a list and then it puts in another sub list here and then it puts this back to another list. So in the actual like behind the scenes look, it looks like it's 3 separate lists, but really it's only one. So some things you can do is just like delete and then push that back, and then try and delete this, whoops, and then try and pull them together. So all I'm doing is hitting the delete key and then hitting the enter key to bring it back to the list. And then we'll refresh the preview here. And we'll go back down to our bulleted list. And so we still kind of have that issue here between these two. But other than that, it looks relatively fine. So this one we might have to take a look at in the component, or let me try. Was that Bill? Sorry.
I was just saying the component.
I'm actually going to try one other thing. Is I'm going to open up a Word document. And I'm going to copy this whole thing out. Again, it might be a track changes thing. We want to turn that off. And then delete all the spacing. Turn off track changes. Delete all these bullets. Let's see where that put us here.
Right above components there. That's where it goes. Second. Yeah, second.
Okay, so that it's okay. So it got removed, right? So I'm going to go back to my Word document, paste it here. So that looks fine. Now I'm going to start my bulleted list here. So I'm going to make sure I have the bullet in cork. And then I'm going to go to my Word document. And then I'm going to copy. Actually, I want all these. I want these 3. Copy these 3. And then paste it here. Okay, that looks good. So then I'm going to enter and then add my sub bullet. And then I'm going to copy just my sub bullet, paste that, and then delete that extra space I put in. And then I'm going to enter, and then I'm going to go down to the next one and copy this list, and then paste that list in. And then I'm going to refresh the preview. And we're going to see if that worked. And then we still have that one extra space. Okay. That might be something I need to look into. Let me just do enter, test, test, test. Let's just try that. And if this one's wrong, then this one will definitely be wrong. Yeah, so there is that little extra space there. So let me put that as a bug, Bill, and then I'll try and because we don't want it for a sub-bulleted list, but we do want it for the main bulleted list. So that one's probably on me to fix. Okay, so let's delete this test out of here. And I'm going to save this component. And so let's fix these other heading issues. These one here. Yeah, Bill. All right, so I'm going to discard the standard changes. And then I need to open up the criteria section. And so we're just editing the component now. Okay, now in the component, we do actually see that extra space here and that extra space here. So if I go to PDF, so here's our two troublemaker spaces. So I'm going to turn off track changes again, and then just delete these two spaces, and then refresh. And then that looks like it cleaned them up pretty good. Here it's fine. I think that's because of the, again, that's still the last bulleted thing. And all right, that looks pretty good. And then you were going to change. Yeah.
So why don't you, while we're recording, scroll down a little bit, and let's get you to show me how to make a heading 3. Scroll down a little bit more. Keep going. All right, let's see that one that says byproducts. What if I wanted to make that one a heading 3?
So I'll just click the heading 3 here, and then we'll call it, well, I'll just scroll up to byproducts, and then I'll cut that out and then paste it as the title. And then I will scroll back up to this text, I believe is byproducts. Cut that out and then paste it there. And then I can delete my extra bullets there. And then now we have a byproducts heading 3. I can refresh here. And then you'll see it at the end of all of this portion, but it did get the heading style now. You can kind of see the difference. This was just the regular text, and then this is like the heading text.
Got it. So can you move that one now?
So yeah, so I can move it if I want to move it here. See, so like, so I clicked on it, and then I can drag it, and then right in the middle, it kind of has the little lines there, and I can move it in, and I can move it back down.
Nice. Okay, good. That's going to save me some effort. Yeah.
Cool. So let me save and close this, and then we'll switch back over to the standard just to make sure those heading spaces are fixed.
Yeah, I had been cutting everything below where I needed to insert, and then pasting it back in and doing it that way, which I think takes longer than what you just showed.
Yeah, it's a lot longer. Okay, so here we had that criteria, so that space is gone, and then that manure section space is gone as well. So the only thing I do need to fix is that the last bullet on a sub-bullet list. Let me, just while we have the video, I'm going to just open up And then test, 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 and then let's do test, test, and test. So I'm just trying like just a fresh document to see if that matters at all. Nope, it definitely doesn't. So yeah, that's on the template. There's that extra spacing on that additional sub bullet I'll have to look at.
Right, got it.
Cool. And then any other?
You might check to see if there's another layer. If you go another test down, if it does it again for the third one too, because I know that we can go as deep as 3 layers on some of our statements of work.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out then too. Let me discard my checkouts for the standard. Any other spacing issues that you can think of, Bill, you want me to look at?
Nope, that's good.
All right, let me stop the recording.